Okay, scenes and sources. So there's also a problem that many people have with that. Scenes is obviously a collection of sources. It's what you send out to the stream as a whole, and then you see, actually let me enable the mouse cursor, I didn't even do that. So right here, what you see up here, you see the sources inside the scenes. So let's add two scenes just for example. You can switch between them. Obviously I don't have anything added. Now let's add game capture, which I need to capture my game obviously. And people tend to add like a ton of game captures for each game individually. The problem with that is if a game gets caught in the game capture in a different scene, that's global. And then you try to capture it with a different game capture in another scene, and suddenly you have a black screen. You don't understand why. That's why, because it's already being captured by a game capture. You can't capture a game twice. It doesn't work like that. So I would recommend adding one game capture, and then you have multiple options. Capture any full screen application. I really don't like that one. It also requires your game to be at full screen. Specific window makes sense. You select your game and be done with it. See, our captures. Or capture foreground window with hotkey. I like that one a lot. You really don't need to touch anything else. You can uncheck capture cursor if you don't want that. Otherwise, just leave it like that. And now since I set the hotkey, I have to set my hotkey obviously. Set it to F11. You can even make a toggle out of it in the hotkeys menu obviously. And if I now click into my game, press F11, it will show up. That is. Now what happens if I add another game capture? And let's say I want to try capturing Portal. It captures, right? But this one doesn't anymore. Now it does. But if I switch to this one doesn't anymore. Takes a while. Sometimes it even doesn't capture at all because it gets stuck, right? Because both try to capture the same thing. So what I want to do is add the game capture, add existing one. Now both of these are the exact same. You can tell if I add a filter to this, let's say crop filter, and I just crop randomly, just crop something away. Both will look the exact same because they're the exact same, right? What if I want to do different cropping for different scenes? Then I just click the game capture, hold the Alt key, and I can crop. This one isn't cropped. They are still the same, but it's only per scene. Alright, that's how you would do that most effectively, and your game capture won't get stuck on something. Like, you can capture it in every single scene with the same one. Another thing is if you, let's say I want to capture just the menu of my screen right now. Then I would obviously use the Alt key, right? So scene 1, I want my game in full screen. That's Control F, by the way. It's also right click here and then transform, and you can fit to screen. It also says Control F. And this one, I want to have only this one, the menu. And I just crop it to that. And I have it here. Two different ones. Can even do it in the same one. I just add the game capture, add existing, and have it in twice. Still the same capture, but this one I can crop. And suddenly I have the same game capture twice. Amazing, right? Another thing you can do with the scenes and sources that also not many people seem to know about yet, which is quite nice. There are a couple of things that came to mind when I first saw this. Actually, at first I thought this was completely useless, but it's actually not. You can add stuff to the scene. Let's say add an image. I have my game stuff here. Let's add the Doom thing like this, and add another one add zone. Put it there. Seems fun, all nice. I can move them around, but I want to have these as a template. I want those two to always be exactly lined up like this, without ever having to change this. Now I can add the scene, as a source, I'm sorry. It's my first scene, so I can add this one, and now I have both of those as one single entity. I can deform them, I can crop them, I can basically do everything I could do with every other source. I can even add a filter to those two at the same time. I want to color key out some color. Let's pick a color. I want to add out the orange. And it applies to both. Obviously that is completely useless right now. But yeah, you can see I can look through them. It's a nice thing that most people don't even realize exists. You can also get around the global sources for webcams with that. You can add multiple scenes with the webcam and add the filter to the scene itself. So you can make a webcam without chroma key and the same one with chroma key in the same scene collection. That's different, by the way. That's not the same as scenes. So if anyone ever tells you to make a new scene collection, it's a scene collection, not a scene, not scenes, right? So if you add a webcam and you add this, like one scene has chroma key, the other one doesn't, that's how you get around that, because you also don't want to have multiple webcams in one scene collection, because again, it's global and it might not switch correctly. It might get stuck and just show black screen because you already have it added somewhere else and it's already active. That brings me back to scene collections, which is also a really neat feature, and ever since OBS Studio you can switch them on the fly. The sources between scene collections are not global, so you can switch between them and still have different devices added. So technically I could also use this for one webcam with chroma key and one without. So if you see, I can switch to this one. This is my main one, which still has a display capture in it, which I don't need. And there you have it. I have my scenes and all that stuff that I normally use, and switch back to my tutorial one. This takes a while because it obviously has to unload stuff and load stuff, and especially for like video devices like webcams, it has to initialize the webcam again, which can also sometimes get stuck, but not as likely as with scenes. So it's a thing to keep in mind. What I want to stress on, keep game capture as one, or if you use the specific window, you can use multiple ones, but not the same game obviously, and it's still a bit more risky. Window capture, only use window capture if you can't use game capture. Use it on browsers, for example. On Chrome you have to disable hardware acceleration for Chrome to capture, because that's just how it changed lately. Chrome, it did. Display capture, if you're on Windows 10, it's just fine to use. It can even capture full screen games now. Still not the best one. Game capture is still better. Image is obviously images. Browser source is stuff like alerts and all this crap. And yeah, that's about it. There's some other settings that text obviously that I will go over in another video because they are more complex. So yeah, scenes and sources.